You know, when I think about it, this may be the longest film I've ever sat and watched in the theater. But how did it turn out? Let's talk about it. My name is Brandon Keith Avery, and this is just my opinion. Hey, what's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Just My Opinion for my The Killers of the Flower Moon movie review. And if this is your first time finding me and you happen to like this video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Killers of the Flower Moon, a film that I was really looking forward to. It's being described as a crime drama history. And guys, do you see that runtime right there? 3 hours and 26 minutes. Please make sure you go to the bathroom before you sit down in your seat. Now, this film is being directed by Mr. Martin Scorsese. I'm pretty sure you've heard of him before. Very popular man. He did direct Goodfellas. If we scroll down here a long time ago, he also directed The Wolf of Wall Street, one of my favorites. I mean, this man has a lovely filmography, one of the best in the game. So if you have seen all of his films, if you are a big fan of Martin Scorsese and you was looking forward to this, please let me know down in the comment section below. So if you were not aware, this film is being based off the book of the same name by David Grann, Killers of the Flower Moon, the Osage Murders, and the Birth of the FBI. And shout out to Tariq Nasheed, because he's the first person that I ever heard mention this book a number of years ago, which led me to add this to my collection. And I will talk about a difference in the movie and this book that I may have liked or rubbed me the wrong way, but check out the book if you get a chance. It's a good one. And also, guys, this film is being produced by Apple Studios, so if you have that platform, you may be able to stream it pretty soon, so that's exciting as well. But as far as my expectations are concerned, I was really looking forward to this movie. I love the cast with Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio, and I think that Martin Scorsese is a great director. And with this film being based on a true story, based on the book, when you mix all that together, I'm saying to myself, how can you not have a good time? But before we get into all the nitty gritty, before I talk about all my likes and dislikes, let me tell you exactly what this film is all about. Members of the Osage tribe in the United States are murdered under mysterious circumstances in the 1920s, sparking a major FBI investigation involving J. Edgar Hoover. All right, the first thing I want to talk about this film is the runtime. Like I said in my intro, this is coming in at 3 hours and 26 minutes, and I mean it. I don't ever think I've sat in a theater and watched a movie this long. But the good thing about it, the good thing about this movie is it does not feel like 3.5 hours, 3 hours and 26 minutes. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. The movie is long, but it doesn't feel as long as it's described. The pacing in this movie is executed quite well as a slow, soft, quiet film, complemented by the score, which I'll bring up in a second. And it also has a very eerie feeling to it, as if somebody is always around a bush or around a tree watching you. That does add to the psychological drama aspect of this film that I did like, but it's not long. It's not drawn out and boring. It does keep your attention. It does keep you upbeat to a degree, with it not being loud and bombastic. And so if you do like slow, quiet paced movies, this film may be right up your alley, but if that's something that you're really not into, I think this film may convert you over. Even though this movie was 3.5 hours, it did not need to be that long, but I still wasn't bored. And I did just briefly mention the score and music, which was composed by Robbie Robertson. Unfortunately, he passed away. He is not with us anymore. He passed away about 2 months before this film was released, and so he won't be able to be a part of the celebration. So shout out to him, and just a moment of silence. But I will say that the man did do a great job tying in that slow, quiet paced film. He does have a great score, a great composition that gives life to this film, and also helps you get a good perspective of the Osage people's culture as soon as this film starts. However, I want you to tailor your expectations with this being a long 3.5 hour movie. And when I say long, I don't mean it as it's dragged or it's a bad thing, but the film is long. You get an interesting perspective. You do not get the perspective in this film from the Osage Nation and their people. You get brief glimpses of this The perspective that you get for the most part is played by Leonardo DiCaprio as Ernest Burkhart, one of the evil murderers in this film. Now, I'm still on the fence as far as what perspective would have been best to tell this story, whether it have been from Ernest Burkhart, the evil murderer that's part of this large conspiracy, or the Osage Nation. I don't know. We do get it from Ernest, Leonardo DiCaprio's character for the most, but still, I think it's a decent enough blend for you to enjoy yourself and not be bored out of your mind while you're watching this film. And again, it's not boring at all. It's quite interesting. And there were a number of moments where I was leaning in, just trying to listen to all the dialogue to soak it in, and also related to the book. You also get mentions of the 5 civilized tribes in this film: the Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Creek, and Seminole tribes. And for your own history and education, there is a video link that I'm going to leave in the description and pinned comments from Dr. Claude Anderson. If you have not heard of that gentleman, I strongly recommend you look him up. You can learn a lot from him, but he also has an opinion on these tribes. And again, I just want to provide that for your own education. But in that, this is a great story that's not told to the public that most. I think this should be taught in schools, but there's a ton of lost history that we don't know about, and this is part of that. Now, as far as the performances go in this film, across the board, I thought they were fantastic. But to be honest with you, there was not one that I said to myself, oh my goodness gracious, this is the best thing that I've seen in the whole year. This person deserves an Oscar. If someone were to win in the vast amount of categories, I wouldn't be upset. But sometimes when I'm seeing a film, I'm like, man, this person is the best of the year. They deserve the awards. I cannot say that in this film as of now. Maybe if I have time to watch it later, I may feel different, but that's just how I feel at this point. But again, not to say no one did a great job. Robert De Niro did a fantastic job. Leonardo DiCaprio did a great job. And also Lady Gladstone. She is the wife by the name of Molly Burkhart, married to Ernest Burkhart, Leonardo DiCaprio's character in this film. In my opinion, she was the best in this film. She had a lot of range and had to endure a lot of pain and torture as she was trying to live out her life the best way that she can. She gave a great depiction of how life could be when you're surrounded by demons and there's no one around you that you can trust. That's what I got out of her performance. Like, man, I am in a bind right now. I am in hell burning up, and there is no one around me that can help me. This person's trying to kill me. This person's trying to kill me. These people over here that I love very much, they're brainwashed, drinking the Kool-Aid, and there's absolutely no place on the planet to where I can turn for help. And that is horrible. Just imagine that right there. And a lot of people in this world, in this country, go through things like that. But when you see that in this film from a completely different perspective of your own life, it is eye-opening. And I really did feel sorry for her while I was watching this film because it was absolutely horrific. I mean, you can see it in her face. You can see it in her mannerisms. You can see it in her actions, to where she's talking to herself saying, oh my goodness gracious, I made the biggest mistake of my life marrying this man, and it may be to my downfall, and I have to live with this decision, and it's just the ultimate torture that no one would want to go through. But I said the story is great, and it really is told by the perspective of Ernest Burkhart, Leonardo DiCaprio. Towards the very beginning of the film, he is trying to learn about the Osage Nation, and we're learning about the nation through his eyes as well. He does not know anything. He's reading books just like we should ourselves. And again, that's just another great way to approach telling the story, which I liked a lot. And I want to mention that I love the way this film is edited. Towards the beginning or first half of this movie, where different members of the Osage Nation is being murdered, you only get to see one half or one side, one perspective of it. But as things progress on later in the film, you get to see the other half, the other side, the other vantage point. Some characters that I want to say you should trust, you really get to see who they are in a different light. And you're like, oh, okay, I see how this plays out. You're the one that committed this murder. Now things are making much sense as far as your motive is concerned. And so that all came together in the editing. And so I have to give 2 thumbs up right there as well. This film also shows you that evil comes in all different shapes and sizes, and it can be camouflaged in many different ways. And that's just another scary thing about life when you're watching this movie that you do realize. Of course, this film depicts wealth and obsession and greed and the lengths that people will go through to just try to grab onto every dollar and every penny, not caring about anybody else in the world except for their ultimate gain. It's very evil, but that's the reality of life, and it's unfortunate that we have to live amongst people that are like that 100 years ago and still today in 2023. This is a very personal, deep, compassionate, intimate story that may grind your gears. And just think about it. If you have a loved one that's supposed to be caring for you, what would you do? How would you feel if you know that they're trying to poison you slowly, yet they're looking in your face every day, pretending that they care about you, saying that they love you, and you know that they don't give a damn, and there's nothing you can do about it? One of the worst things that somebody can experience, and that's all over this movie. And I also like the way the things end. Usually when something is based on a true story, there's a big black screen that comes up, and in the end, the murders were solved by this, and it's nothing but white letters. But no, that's not the case here. Scorsese had a very interesting, creative way to where he wrapped things up and let you know how the story ended. And it was very engaging and got you to the edge of your seat like, I like the way you told that part of the story there. I do appreciate it. This is different, fresh, and new. And that's something that I also appreciate as well. But guys, those are going to be the things that I really did enjoy about this film. Now let me switch over to the one aspect that really should have been fleshed out a bit more, and that's comparing the film to the book. In the movie, it was depicted that there were only a few individuals that were a part of the Osage murders, one being Ernest Burkhart, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, and his uncle, played by Robert De Niro. The name of his character in this film was William Hale, and they only had a few accomplices. But as far as the real history is concerned, this vast conspiracy contained hundreds of people, not just a handful. I mean, it was a large conspiracy dealing with so many people, and the movie didn't really showcase it that way. They just had it to where it was just, a few individuals, like I said, and they had a few accomplices here and there. Also, in the good part, I want to switch back. This film is rated R. There are a lot of murders that really are abrupt, and they pop at you out at the screen, which I do like. And they're not jump scares that can be quite annoying. I say pop out because the pacing of this film is very slow and quiet. So when you see someone getting their head blown off, or their body is chopped up with the saw, that sound mixing and design really came through strong in this. It really does grind your gears and kind of makes your skin crawl. And there were, it's not super duper bloody and gory, but there were a few shots to where they were showing dead bodies. I was like, oh damn, I did not want to see that. I wish I would have had some type of warning. And so it's really, really effective just to show how evil a number of these people were in this film. Again, this is a story that I think everybody should learn about for their own history and education. But if you like moody psychological dramas, I think this film is for you. If you're a fan of Robert De Niro, Leonardo DiCaprio, or Martin Scorsese, I think this film is for you. If you're a history buff, if you want to increase your education about some of the founding aspects of this nation, I think this film is for you. Go ahead and buy your tickets, get your subscription ready, all that good stuff. I think you will have a great time. And I can't wait to hear everybody else's perspective on this film too. I'll go ahead and give my rating for this at the very end, guys. But for now, that is just my opinion. And I want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you did enjoy this video, please go ahead and give me the thumbs up and subscribe, helping me reach that next milestone of 50,000 subscribers. And if I had to rate The Killers of the Flower Moon out of a 1 out of 10, I would give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. Yes, an 8.5 out of 10. I'm thinking about a 9, but I just may stick at that 8.5 out of 10. Guys, again, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in. Before you go, don't forget that my name is Brandon Keith Avery, and that's just my opinion. Peace.